Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here today with Anna and Daniel. These guys are amazing. We talked for about an hour, and I think we were just getting started. I hope this is the first of several conversations that I get to share with you from them. They are candid and transparent about their relationship, and I think you're really going to enjoy learning from them. They posed for me a couple of questions that actually had me stumped a little bit. And I probably will think about this interview for a while. I started out with a list of about 5 questions. I got to ask one of them, and then they took it from there. So I'm excited to share this with you. I also want to remind you that I have relaunched my blog. It's called Stuff I Write. I am trying to post something every week. Sometimes they're relationship posts, but mostly they're not. And I would be grateful if you would subscribe and share that. Just trying to flex some of my writing muscles and get them out into the world, and also just diversify a little bit off of strictly relationship stuff into things that maybe are capturing my imagination. Thank you for supporting Marriage Therapy Radio on Patreon. It's never too late to jump on board and support the podcast financially. It's a great way to help us keep the lights on and continue to bring you very cool interviews. So you can do that at marriagetherapyradio.com or by going to patreon.com/marriagetherapyradio, becoming a member. I'm typically putting up some behind the scenes videos, whether they are from interviews that we're doing or just little tidbits of context from my counseling office that maybe don't make it onto the podcast. As always, I'm grateful to you for joining us. I do hope that you'll appreciate hearing from Anna and Daniel. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. How you doing? You want to get into it?
Yeah. Did you get both of our questionnaires?
I did, and I'm worried I might pick a fight. Did you compare notes in your questionnaires?
We kind of filled some of it out together, didn't we?
Just a couple questions.
Is it okay if I pick a fight?
Yeah.
Sure. You want to use this as an example? In other words?
No, I'm just
do not be like this couple. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, no. Listen. I ask people all the time to fill out this question about how they would rate their relationship on a scale of 1 to 10. And I can't tell you how many 10s I get. I get so many 10s, and I'm like, please, can you not with the 10s?
Right.
Like
I even moved mine from a 4 to a 5. So just so you can go.
So you're a 5. Yeah. And you were an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah. I was trying to be honest. I think, to preface it, our 10 years together, we've grown, we've ebbed and flowed. And it's like, I kind of rated it based on
the arc,
myself, not the arc, myself in a little way and how I am. And I figured there's, several things that I can improve on to make this a 10. So I half well expected Anna to do that too.
You're not surprised that you're sort of further apart than the standard deviation.
Is it further apart than the standard deviation?
Well, I don't know. It's a 5 and an 8, that's... Yeah. Sometimes that's a signal that two people aren't in the same relationship or they're not aware that things are going on. But it sounds like you have some kind of and again, this isn't science, right? It's arbitrary sort of.
It's relationship. Yeah.
How do I think about a random number scale? And your lens was about trajectory, perhaps, like on the trajectory of our relationship, specifically with regard to what I'm bringing to the table. I'm trending in the right direction. Maybe I'm at an 8. Is that a fair way to say what you just said?
Yes, I would say that is.
I think that's probably fair. From where we started, he is at a perfect firm 8.
Are you surprised that Anna was at a 4 that she ticked up to a 5?
Probably not. I think, she's been pretty communicative about her desires, right? And so
we're pretty good communicators. We're not like stuff it and hold it. We're kind of more like,
I guess
this is how I feel. And this is. Okay.
I would say I was that person.
Yeah,
and I come from a old school family where you just eat it and walk through it, so.
And I've been in therapy since I was 14, like you said. So I'm like the Olympiad and I have to kind of calibrate, be like, come on, keep it up, keep up.
Capital
and
T therapy and lots of IESs on it.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Different styles, different approaches, different, but yeah, it's a definite. I also learned, I think in my 30s, that therapy to me wasn't a process that needed to get over. It was like a way you choose to live your life, right? If you want to be a self-reflective person, if you want to be a person who grows and changes, openly, like readily, and rather than fighting it. I feel like some people always swim upstream with their therapy. And I was like, give it to me and what's the next thing? And I wanted to do therapy, I think, for my whole life, just as a point of, thinking and feeling about things and, clearing things that I might not be aware of or that I am aware of. And just kind of it keeps a good soulful hygiene, I think, a spiritual, health in there. So you got on board pretty soon. I don't think that he was expecting to.
Well, so therapy was not anything. I mean, probably even today, if you told
your
my
dad
family,
to go.
So my family, they've had fighting and turbulence my entire life. And if you brought the word up, you need to go to therapy or rehab or any of that, it was, that's for sissies and only weak people do that kind of stuff. So that was the guys I was raised under for a long time. Yeah. Which was different than her family dynamic.
My dad was like, I'll pay for therapy. I will, so that you don't have to use your health insurance. I just want you to be healthy. And they were in marriage therapy. And so it's kind of advanced at that time. My dad and mom were really progressive for, parents born in the 40s, raising their kids in the 80s. It was like, that wasn't a thing yet. It was almost like you only went to therapy if something was really fucked up.
Yeah. I used to think the same thing. I used to think people who went to therapy, there was something wrong with them. They were broken. And now I sort of think people who don't go to therapy, there's something wrong with them. They're broken.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's really well said.
That's the best way to put that for sure.
So, okay. Tell me then about your 5.
I think my 5 has a lot to do with, just kind of playing catch up. I married Daniel because I was extremely attracted to him, and I knew that he was a very, very, very good man. And I went in knowing that he was at a deficit in a lot of different ways, but no wife can tell him. And I just hoped that maybe he'd keep up and want to work on this eventually. I was 36. I wanted children. I knew that was the value I had. A lot of my friends who were living in Hollywood were still at 37 and 38 chasing this ultimate marriage. And I'm like, I know marriages are not a lot to bank on, even though my parents are 82 turning and still together, still alive and thriving. So I had a good role model of marriage, but I wasn't going to hang my coat on it. I knew that relationships were hard. And so I said, I know that when I marry this man, no matter what, and I knew that he had a history of not wanting to get divorced either. It was like, okay, we'll be in it and we'll work on it. And I know that he's a good man. So I will have great children. Both, in the psychology department, he has a very good mind. It's very clear and straight and honest. He didn't have I dated really dysfunctional men, and I knew that he had issues like we all do, but they weren't like the kind that was psychological fracturing. And I was like, then you can work on this, right? If the mind isn't broken and the heart is good, we can fix things as they come up and go along. And I think that I took for granted that I am a hyper mobilizer of change, and Daniel's a Taurus, and he is very slow in his reckoning and taking action. In fact, that's not his strong suit, is that he will know something years before he will actually know how to implement it into something that is of significant impact. And so for me, I think the 5 is a point of fatigue, sometimes a point of helpless or hopelessness, where I'm like, I know that he knows everything he needs to do, but there's still a lack of action. And the impact of him not living into his genius is felt pretty deeply in our family, in our relationship. And I don't know, I feel like I've done a lot of work on being like, am I just a critical woman? Am I just, the never satisfied partner? Am I the critical nitpicker? And I feel like I have worn many hats over the years, 13 years. At first, you're like the, devoted encourager. And then you're like, I'm going to try to be the inspirer. And then I'm going to be the, the pusher. And then I'm going to be the retractor. And then and I feel like at this point, I am a healthy enough individuated person where I'm like, this is your stuff. But if it doesn't change, my highway might split from yours. Because we choose every day if we want to be on the same highway, right? Love is a choice. It's a deep feeling. I'm very passionate about Daniel. I am extremely attracted to him physically. Our sex life is this kind of backwards from most relationships, is that our sex life is not enough, but when we have sex, it's amazing. And I was trying to explain to him that I'm like, biologically, there's nothing wrong. I just have a really hard time being like, the last thing in my day when I feel like I wanted you to lift 50% of the load is now let me meet your needs. Right. So I think that is where my 5 sits is I'm like, not dissatisfied with you. I'm not dissatisfied with love. I love our children and our family. But I don't know how to compensate for your lack of action in your life. It's actually yours. And I'm no longer feeling like, why won't you do it for me? Or why can't you do it for the kids? Or I'm like, this is what you're sitting in. But I then am trying to figure out how to relate because I was raised with codependent parents. I want to be the fill in the gap, and he tells me his needs. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to be able to do that for you. And then so that's kind of, I think, the dynamic for me, right? In terms of just desperately wanting change and going through. It's kind of interesting. There's a certain amount of grief or grieving that goes through the process of coming to acceptance of things. And so I think that sometimes I'm just more sad than I'm angry anymore, like frustrated. I'm like, oh, okay, this is maybe what this looks like. And so I'd like it to change, but I think that's where I sit.
Bro, what do you think about all that?
Well, yeah, I mean, so to be fair, there's some stuff in there that I own. And I think probably there's some stuff in there that Anna hasn't quite figured out she needs to own yet. This is my journey and growth, right? Like when I grew up, I was the modeling and for me was an alcoholic abusive relationship with my grandparents. And on one side of the family, on the other side of the family, it was loving. Like my grandpa would slap my grandma's butt and kiss her on the cheek in front of us, right? Playful, jovial man. And I always modeled my relationship towards that. And so what I think is, we had the dynamic of my grandpa was built houses and he was a farmer and he was gone all the time. And grandma stayed home with 4 kids. To my personal dynamic with my parents, my mom had that personality. Obviously, my dad came from a twisted, abusive background. And they were both loving towards each other and still are. Just, there was things there for certain.
You're saying your mom and dad, sorry?
Yeah, my mom and dad are still loving towards each other for sure. Just 2 different dynamics coming together, right? And so I always thought, I'll have that relationship like my grandparents. My parents seem okay. But as you become an adult and you start to see all the dysfunction and issues, right, that my mom would never talk about, my dad pretends like they don't exist because he's fine, kind of thing, that as an adult for me in a relationship, I start to see my faults, right? And so I'm like, I need to change these things. And it's been on me for a long time. And my mindset before was, I don't have these problems, right? This is not a thing. She'll come around to seeing I don't. I started doing therapy and talking to people and figuring things out. And I would still say I'm in that process of unwinding all of those things. I think I was also taught the way to protect your fears is to be insular, right? And not be
Connected.
to keep them in this place and try and chunk them off as you can without anybody helping or anybody being involved kind of a scenario. So yeah, when she says a 5 and I say an 8, it's because it's like inside of me, I've been opening up to all of these things. We had a fire that swept through. So my family on my dad's side that had all this dysfunction has lived in where the Marshall Fire happened. Right. And so that fire happened and basically wiped out 6 generations of family's stuff there. Right.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And so what it did for me was a blessing in disguise. It kind of reset this stubborn us against the world mentality to it's such a bigger place for me. And now I've got to figure out, I have these skills that I was raised with that were meant to just be like one directional into many. Like, what do I do now? Right. We've been there for 6 generations. Like I said, just doing, grinding out, building a life.
Well, and it was us and them. Like he's very family oriented, which attracted me to him. But that family was like we against the world. And so Daniel, like, I don't know, they weren't pushing him to go do things. He got to hide behind a lot of the immaturity that accompanies alcoholic families, like generational, multi-generational alcoholism. His dad didn't drink, but he's the pinnacle adult child. Like he's a boy child and he's, so that role modeling is like, oh, you're a good guy, but you lack, accountability, responsibility.
Yeah. What it is and I've seen this dynamic because I have an extremely large family, is children oftentimes overcompensate for the lack of that in their life from their father or mother, in other words. So my dad's thing was he's going to spend all of his time investing in us, spending time with us, sports, hunting, all these things that,
His dad, who's
cowboying and all these things that he did that I was a part of. So it was like I was his best friend growing up, even though I was just a kid looking up to my dad.
Also, his parents had him at 19. My parents had me at 34.
Oh, wow.
So we have a huge difference gap in terms of I'm 13 years younger than his mother. It's a weird.
Yeah.
So he was raised by children, right?
Yeah.
Who were just, doing their thing and not, his mom like left architecture school at a great university to get married and never went back to college. And you're like, why didn't the parents like step in and say, no, this isn't happening? But they got married and had their first babies at 19. So I think there is some of that transgenerational, stuff that impacts you for sure.
Yeah, right, for sure.
But what about the action part? Can I just therapize him for a minute?
Well,
you asked the question.
Well, let me just ask this question. So, and this is what I would say to my client. If you were a client in my office, I would say, okay, you got an 8, you got a 5, that's 13. So at the moment you have a 6.5. Your relationship right now is at a 6.5 that we can kind of say that's the average. If you come back to my office in a week, a month, a year, and you're like, hey, it's a 7.5, it's an 8, whatever it is, collectively, we've raised our average. What happens between now and then for each of you? Like, what's the thing that has to actually occur?
Transpire.
That, that Anna, that raises your number, although averages are tricky, right? Like you could raise your number to a 6 and drop your number to a 7.5, Daniel, and we're still,
well, it takes his
but still averaging up. I'm just saying like, I think we're always chasing better, right? It's going to be better than what? And what does that mean? If we're talking about our financial situation, we go, oh, I've got more money than I had a month ago. We're talking about our health. My cholesterol is lower than it was a month ago. If your number is higher than it was a month ago or a year ago, what happens for you both? Like, what's the actual thing?
I think there's a deeper level of satisfaction. I mean, in life and here's the difference for me is that I think that.
Yeah.
Practical. Go ahead. What do you say?
Well, that's an experience. Like, I think if we experience more satisfaction, sure. But like, what is the thing that has to happen for you to experience more satisfaction?
This is what I would say if I was answering my question.
Yeah.
And maybe this is ironic is that, or maybe it's actually very, appropriate to every relationship is that for me, I don't need Daniel to do more for me. I'm not asking him to be more affectionate or sometimes I would like him to be a little bit more lighthearted. He tends to be more melancholic and kind of, he has been depressed from a lot of the loss in his life that he wasn't processing. He needs to probably do a little bit more deep processing. He's had a lot of loss. But I think that for me, when Daniel is more of all of himself, there is more of him for me to love. The more authentically that Daniel can show up in his life, then the more there is for me to fall in love with. And right now I feel like, for example, this is not news to him. Daniel is a near genius mechanical mind. He can do anything. He fixes and restores historic cars. He works on big machinery. He can go in and build a house. There's a problem. He knows how it works. He was explaining to me uranium the other day, and like his mind is so good. And he has insecurities about not getting through school, and he had some learning differences. And so there's all this stuff that he loads into his self-concept that the bottom line is, let's say this, is that I need Daniel to go out and be able to bring in an income. I have been the primary financial supporter the whole marriage. And I wanted to have a third child and I wanted him to. Okay, so here's the practical application, not the theoretical one. Yeah. But theoretically, I went to being like, just get a job. Why is it so hard? Then just do this. Why can't that? And what I've been realizing is that what would really bring satisfaction to me is to see Daniel take his skills and actually manifest something of value, of gravity, of what is it called when you have compounding? Like Daniel's life hasn't compounded into something even for him to be proud of, meaning he knows his strengths. He knows what he could do. But because of his insular experience, he kind of lives in the like not wanting to put himself out there. There's a big fear about failure. There's a big fear about, and I'm like, so by you not living into your actual genius, you're depriving the world, but also our marriage and therefore our children who watch you, you know, leading by example of being able to just go out and do you. Because if he did him, he literally could make all the money we needed to support the family. So I have this on-side like interest in, I want to be able to send my children to study abroad like I did. I grew up affluent. He grew up not impoverished, right? He wasn't poverty, but.
Yeah. So let's preface this. I was poor as shit as a kid. We lived in a trailer. I wore hand-me-down clothes, obviously. And then what happened in Colorado is you had this boom of building new schools around me. And I went to school and these kids were wearing Air Jordans and I had cowboy boots with holes in them. So I was heavily picked on as a kid. I had 3 friends all the way through elementary school, other than my cousins were always like brothers to me, right? But we didn't go to the same school. So I was always by myself in these schools. And it never affected me because I grew up, it's like in the morning we got fed the cows and pigs early. And it was just, that's hard. Kids calling me names and picking on me never felt hard. You know, I was always able to make friends and navigate the world. 2, I get into middle school. I'm athletic. I'm one of the best players. Pretty soon I get into high school and everybody wants to be my friend, even kids that picked on me. But I never changed who I was as a person because I came from this old school family that's like, your merit's based on how you treat other people and who you are, not what you have or what people think you have and all these things, you know, being poor. It was like, I was also my mom's father. He helped everybody. I mean, that's the word. He's 86 now and they all just keep saying, you know, that's all he wants. That's what makes him happy, is to help people. Right. And so helped his friends build their houses, helped his brothers, you know, have things. And so I clung on to that. And I also derive a ton of pleasure out of helping people. And so I always look at the world from that frame of mind, right? Which is difficult when it comes to money. You can't go out of your way to help everybody and have a ton of money.
That tied a lot though to your codependency too. His natural love language is doing, but he also like codependently feels like he has to help everybody and that he's not going to charge them or he's not going to do things. But okay, hold on. I want to hear what you think would have to happen to increase our median age or our satisfaction.
So 6.5. If you're going to come back in a month or a year with a 7.5 or an 8, what happens collectively between the two of you that drives that number up?
Sure. Well, my part obviously is, I feel like I'm just stepping into a world where I'm starting to have dreams of doing something, right? Where I put my energy and my focus, which forever when I quit playing sports, I kind of just wandered through never knowing really what I wanted to do. Maybe this is codependent or whatever. When my parents were like, we'll pay for you to go to school. They didn't have money. So I thought, I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to waste your money. Whereas my sister had none of that. She's like, yeah, I'll go to school and you guys pay for that. Yeah. And so I never really allowed myself to dream at something I could build onto. I just used my skill sets to make it through the day, each day. And so in me, I think part of that's becoming clear. It's like, I've got a dream. And she's saying, I'm more attracted to him when he's fulfilling himself and he's truly authentically him. Right. So that's my part. And I think for Anna's part, it's like, sometimes, you know, I grew up in a family where money was not the thing, right? It wasn't talked about. It was like, we just made each day work. She's got dreams of doing things that take lots of money. And I've never been really mindful of that or thoughtful of that. And so it's like, sometimes I look at her and I'm like, we have 3 amazing kids. We live 2 doors down from both of your sisters, 4 blocks from your parents, in a town that people want to be in. And we have a great life. And I just, in my mind, say, we're going to get there. It's just not happening as fast as Anna would like. And so
13 years
for
later.
me, she's
Come on.
probably, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's not fast.
Okay. Yeah. I think when I look at a relationship, I look at overall trajectory of it. Where I want to be at 80 is deeper in love with you and jovial and having fun and relishing in the life that we've lived, right? No matter whether it's in great poverty or great wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my ambition for our relationship. And I don't think Anna, I think what would have to change is maybe Anna gearing towards that ambition also, instead of just acquiring wealth and having things or going places in Europe. Like,
and maybe that's because I actually feel like I live very much in the moment. Like each day you're building the life, but it's the outcome. I'm like, of course I'm going to want to die next to you. Like that's, if the life is good in these moments.
Then I guess what I'm saying is I don't feel that. And I always hold space where it's like, I see you, I see how you're doing things. You are a whirlwind. So it's just like you the other day. I come up with an idea, I try it, and I'm like, I'm the person that's like, I come up with that idea, and then I step back and I look at it, and I suss out the situation. You're the person who dives headlong in. I need more of that. And I feel like what I'm saying is you need more of coming back the other way a little bit. Like, let me think about this for 4 days before I just jump into it.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah,
well, I see
don't know.
If I were probing you a little more specifically, like I think sometimes when you have a gap, like a satisfaction gap in the relationship, and that gap is painful for people because there's a gap. And if it's a big gap, in your case, it's maybe 3 points, arbitrarily, like non-scientifically 3-point gap. Maybe that's painful. Maybe it's sustainable. Maybe 4 points is the one that's not sustainable. Maybe 2 points is the one that feels really good, whatever. Sometimes the gap closes not simply because you, maybe Daniel in this case, deliver, you execute and you step up. It closes sometimes because maybe Anna, you lower your expectation, or you change, or you diminish kind of not diminish, but you sort of come down off of this really lofty and beautiful vision that you have, and it squeezes the gap a little bit. It might squeeze it down to 2.5 or squeeze it down to 1 or something. So it's not, again, if I'm holding my hands like this, like you can raise experience, you can lower expectation, and you can sort of squeeze them. And it sounds like, Daniel, part of what you're describing is if we close this gap, if we raise our average, you need to step up and kind of figure out how to execute on some stuff. But also it'd be helpful if Anna would appreciate or realize that there's maybe some loftiness to her vision that isn't, I don't know what the right word is, realistic or sustainable or achievable.
Yeah, I think so. Anna moved out early, lived in San Francisco, moved to LA. She was going to be an actress and a dancer. And this will probably describe our personalities, where people growing up said, "Oh, you're attractive. You should model. You should act." And I'm like, nope. I want to put my energy into this world. Like, that world for me is a fairy tale, a fairy tale thing. Yeah, sure. It's fun to think, oh, I could do that. And oh, what a life I would have. And it was like, I could see that my life would be better not doing those things. Right. And so I think Anna still has that overall dream of accolades and success and all these things, which is great. Right. But
well, some of that is in my actual personal business and my own ambition professionally.
Yeah, it's not a criticism.
But that doesn't drive. No, I'm just saying that doesn't drive. We've both talked about this, where that doesn't drive I'm like not aiming to be affluent. I'm not aiming to have 6 cars. And I grew up traveling, and I think traveling is one of the world's greatest educations of humanity. And I think that I took Daniel on a trip around the world for our honeymoon. And I was like, look at the world. I just want you to like explore this. And the whole time we had a little grouchy.
Hold on.
But listen, hold on. No.
Hold on.
Listen,
Hold on.
I just don't want to finish. I don't want to get lost on this story.
Yeah. This is
I'm
where
not trying to cut you off. I just don't want to get lost in the
story. I know. But this is where I would say we went around the whole world in how much time?
2 months.
2 months. How much time did we spend in each place?
5 days in each spot.
No, not quite.
Yes. 4 to 5 days in each spot.
Okay.
That was the average. median. We took 2 weeks in Myanmar. We did 2 weeks in Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. My whole point is that at the end, I was pregnant. We were flying back from Tokyo, and I looked at him and I said, so do you think that, I know that this has been not like, you just dove in deep. I know what you're facing. I was like, but do you think you'd want to do this again? And he's like, yeah, as long as we could spend more time in each place. And I was like, fine. This was supposed to be a deep dive. Suck it in, go in. Yeah. I can be a better tour guide. No problem. So later we're, watching a show and he's like, oh, I've been to Florence, or, we're watching a documentary. He's like, oh, I remember when we were in Myanmar. And I was like, this is what is fun for me about being in marriage. It has nothing to do with like valuing finances and affluency over real life things. But I want to give that to my kid because I saw that Daniel's heart is good, but there was also like a lack of seasoning, right? Towards like bigger things. And I'm like, I don't want my child to be the bonsai kitty that is in a box, like, and doesn't know how to stretch, doesn't know how to do things. And so travel is not about, look at how affluent we are. Travel is a very practical self-cultivation or a cultivation of self. And I would think that you would agree with me that that's not a pressure in our marriage of the finances. It's just that you also now are like, yeah, I'd like to, Vera, to be able to do these things.
Yeah. All those things are awesome. But and this is probably where Anna struggles with me. I'm grounded in like reality, right? And I look around. I didn't get on an airplane until I was 18, right? And Anna had already lived in Australia with her parents.
We're so different.
And
but we're
traveling
spiritually
around the world and experiencing all of that was awesome. But the majority of people who live in this country don't experience that and don't get that. And I'm like, okay, we've got a goal. I feel the same, but taking our kids to 90 different countries, that's like, now you're talking about, maybe that's how I experience it.
That's how you translate
but does your desire to not go to 90 countries keep you from going to one country?
Yeah, that's a no. And I would say no. Right. And so
hold on. Just listen to what he said, because I think he has an insight real quickly.
Say that again.
I said, does your desire to not want to go to 90 countries keep you from going to one country?
And I would say no. I would say, yeah, what happens to me is it's like, I guess I'm in a point where it's like, I'm trying to figure out my life, and then, we've got to have money to go on this trip. And I'm like,
okay, but where are you going next?
Right. Well, where are we going next?
We're going to Australia in 2 weeks, but it's not our paid. It's in a week.
Well, that's good.
That was a good therapy question. Can I just highlight that one more time? Because I think that this needs to land, not about travel.
Yes.
The way he is overwhelmed by possibility limits his ability to even take one step forward. Yeah. And all I'm like is just focus on the next microbite. Just the next microbite, like miniature. But and that's maybe where I'm trying to show him a vision, and I know what it takes to get places. I've spent 25 years trying to build something, and it is agonizing. And so that's why I'm like, if you know where you're going, then you can step into it. But for him, like the 90, 100 places to go is like, no, I can't get to the one. Because that, I don't know if it scares you. I don't think it scares you, but the ideas are so overwhelming that then he goes black.
It's a pretty popular, it's not popular, but it's pretty common, social experiment where people go to the store to buy jelly. And if there's 25 kinds of jelly, they won't buy any jelly. But if there's 5 kinds of jelly, they will buy the jelly, because if there's too many, they don't know how to.
I did that the other day for sure.
So let me answer that question. I don't suffer from that. It is when we start talking about traveling.
I'm trying to remain neutral.
I know. And now you're getting to experience where we have to grow in both directions, right? So I'm like, let's travel to France, to this place. And let's plan that. And Anna's like, but if we're going to France, we can go to England. And if we go to England, we can go here. And then I'm like,
I do that. I'm like, ADHD. I do that. Totally.
Now you've pushed me over the edge of my decision. I go to the store. It takes me a fraction of the time to do all the things that you're saying.
Yep.
She goes in the store. She's ADD. Yep. And I'm like, she'll be like, I'm out in 30 minutes. I'm like, no, you don't come out of this store ever.
Yeah.
Even if you're going in for one item in under an hour. So I'm like, this is where I hold the space. And I'm like, I love my wife's push and my wife's creative brain to capture all these things that I can't, but I get pushed over the edge where it's like, okay, now I'm backing out of this because I've agreed to do something that now just spun out into 10 things that I'm
But here's the power here. I have to say this. The reason that happens to you, I believe, is because I take action. So my action tends to follow my personality. But if you took action and you're like, I'll plan the Florida trip, I'll plan to France, then I'd be like,
I can do those things. So this is, I'm not a great, I can't do.
Management is not your strength.
I can manage if we're going to one place, it's like, I sit down and I can plan out all these things and this is how it works for me. Yep. And you're like, okay, got all those. Now we're going here because we're already spending the money. Might as well make it worth it. Mm-hmm. Oh, and since we're there, we're close to this.
How much is this man and woman? Do you see this dynamic a lot?
No, it's not. I don't think
is it? Okay.
No, I think it's totally down more to personality style, maybe diagnoses, like when ADHD is present, or I don't know if you guys mess around in the Enneagram at all, but there's like a lot of just personality kind of operating systems that people have, and it's not typically gendered, I don't think. Some of them are, of course.
IFN and J or something. I did that one together.
So just to say all that, what would make my life better is if I had more of what she had, right? So like when you're building a house, you get a set of plans, or a car. There's a process ground up, right? And you go each step. You can plan for that step up here, but it's going to change before you get there.
Yeah.
Right. Every time. And I'm like, you can't get there trying to figure out that step and be done with it without starting here. And I'm the start here guy. And then I've got this squared away and we can make that happen. But it's then all the stuff in the ether that starts pulling in where I'm like, I can't handle that. I don't, nope. Okay. Back out of this because this is overwhelming. And
but this is what's hard too. And this is why, and I do see,
career wise, I have all these skills.
Yeah, but it overwhelms you, the application, like where is it going to go? Yeah. How is he going to try to?
Do you have a day job? Do you clock in and clock out somewhere? Or do you
I have my whole life. It's just not, what do you mean?
Maybe you have, you move around.
Currently, you work for Boeing, you're not a contractor or something.
No, he is never, He was working for his family and he was career driven towards trying to take over for his uncle who already had a firstborn son who's not very capable, but then the fire happened. But Daniel,
But to answer your question, so right now, my brother-in-law.
Like a Joel and Ethan Coen movie or something.
Yeah. My brother-in-law has a metal fab business. And since before we even moved back from LA, he was like, let's start a business together. And I was like, well, we're in LA now, so that won't happen. But when I come back, we can talk about it. When we came back, I just started working for my uncle because I was going to make the most money again there. And I was kind of re-gearing myself into thinking, I could step in here and make this happen. I've got to manage some terrible family dynamics, but I might be able to make that happen for what the potential of this is, right? It's a lot of money to over that 4-year period where I was paying and making most of the money from work to the house. I started to realize I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be happy doing this. And then the fire happened and there was all this loss of things that I had built and done in my entire life out there that was gone. And there was a long process of figuring that out for me. I was in therapy the whole time, but a lot of it was driven towards how to push off all those bad things from my childhood and not pass them on with my children because I was in a depressed state and I was constantly snappy, or I was behaving a lot like my family. And I just hate that with my whole heart. Like I try and run from that. I probably don't engage in things and take these micro steps or jump out into the deep end because of those things. Where it's like, when you grow up in a family of conflict, I was taught to, fight to win at all costs.
Or flee. Fight or flee. And
there was no flee. That's me. I learned.
Oh, that was your compensation pattern, right? Like instead of wanting to go in
let me finish what I'm saying. That was me overcompensating for what I was taught. Right. And so when I get in a fight, even with my dad, which happened a lot through the time we worked together, was I'm not backing down. He's not backing down. People around us are getting scared because we're basically coming to the point where we're calling each other out to, I'll kill you. I mean, it goes to that point. Like, it's the most unhealthy thing ever. I learned I'm not involved. You say what you want. Okay. Do what you want. And I just go the other way and things are easier. Right. And then I don't feel bad and I don't harbor anger and frustration in my heart day after day after day because of our patterning. Right. And so my dad has 5 brothers. 2 are dead now, but he doesn't talk to any of them. My grandpa had 5 brothers. He talked to 2, hated the others. Right. And then my great grandpa and his brother hated each other and they had their wives were best friends. Right. And so for 40 years, they didn't talk, but their wives would sneak around behind their back and hang out. Right. So
I know what you should do. I got it.
Yeah.
You need to write your novel.
I mean, I've thought that, I mean, it could be I think about Yellowstone and all that stuff. I'm like, this is the experience. This is, brothers seeing your uncles have fist fights as kids over stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like the county cut down cottonwoods and left it, and they were fighting over who got the free firewood to the point where they got a fist fight. It's like,
it's Appalachian type stuff.
It's hillbilly stuff. Right. And so,
but I think that Daniel's making a good point, which is I
overcompensate for that.
It's hard for you to like, he thinks that anytime he engages or something in his nervous system is like, if I am going to engage in this, and it could be something as like fighting for a job, that there's this like trigger of, I can't over engage or I won't back down. And then it keeps him from taking any action. Yeah.
I think, and just for you and Zach, this is a conclusion that's coming after a culmination of Anna pushing me for 13 years, experiencing this fire, spending time in therapy and realizing, I could do something. And now where I sit, it's like, but do I have a dream of doing something? What fulfills me? What's going to make me attractive to Anna? But also I've never spent any time fulfilling myself. Like dream of what I want and make it happen. Manifest that dream. And so I'm like in a place where it's like, we have to make it now. So I'm putting these pieces together to try and make that happen, but build this dream of when I get up in the morning, I'm excited to go out the door instead of, I got to put my shoes on and make this happen and just grind through it. And I have modeling in that way where it's like, I see these men, they're broken down. They're frustrated. They're angry.
And they're
because they just grounded out for years. Right. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that in my life. I'm not going to pick something and just make it happen because I'm going to grind myself and will myself to make that thing I don't like happen. Right. I'm like,
so what is it like? I have a question. Is there a personality type? Cause you're a psychologist or psychiatrist. Are you a psychiatrist or psychologist?
I'm a couples therapist.
Therapist. Okay. Yeah. So when you go into the psyche of a person where there's a complicated relationship of, where the story or the idea keeps how do you heal that? Or where do you start to unravel like life impact, which is self-fulfilling, right? Like, so if it doesn't fulfill him, he doesn't want to take action. That's a theme that keeps happening in his life that I watch, right? I don't label that. He says it and I repeat it. And I'm like, that's so interesting that if he can't see it or if he doesn't know how it's going to work out, how do you take action, right? Because I think that you would agree marriage therapy or any therapy is that the first step of change is behavioral action, right? You can sit all day. This is one of the reasons I ended up sticking out of analytical therapy, which is like, I don't need to know all the hows and the whys and the connection of everything. I just want this very fundamental thing to change in my life. And I think that applies to marriage where you're like, I don't really care like all of the ins and outs eventually. I just want this to change, right? I want to get that median thing changed. And that comes through what is an action I could take? I think that's why that question is really poignant. It's like, what action would close that gap?
Yeah.
And it's like, it can be literally like Daniel's got some stuff in the works, so it's not
Yeah.
thing. But I think that that's a hard thing for people, which is why I think my frustration of dissatisfaction is so low, because I'm like, it can't take 13 years to do something. I mean, I know that you're still doing stuff, but it's like eventually you do it or you don't, is more my mentality. So how do you encourage in relationship change or, in personal development change? What would you say is your...
This always happens. My answer is going to be unsatisfying, mostly because we're out of time. But it always happens when you get to the good stuff right before you got to shut it off. I say to clients all the time, like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to pick this up next week. And I will say, I love you guys. I hope that we become friends. And maybe you're the kind of couple we should check out like in 6 months later and go, how's it going? What happened in Australia?
What did we improve?
How's your novel coming? And what did you build? But I think, Anna, you're not wrong. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Did I say that twice? I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Yeah. I'm not even really an individual therapist. I'm a couples therapist because I understand it as a different mechanism. The couples therapy is about making sure that people have the relationship that they want. And so that looks like a thing. And so we start with something like, what's your number? So maybe it's a 6.5. And then we have to ask the question, what would make it a 7.5? What would make it an 8? People come in and they want 10s. They want a 10. And you can't go from 6.5 to 10. You have to go from 6.5 to 7. And something has to happen in order for that to occur. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time just evaluating that with people, and you start to figure out like, what is it? And it's not make more money. It's not even really get a job. It's something like live into a dream. And then I think the place that becomes really interesting is when you say, okay, what's in the way of that? Is it your personality style? Is it your fear? Is it your family of origin story? Is it your commitment to fight or flight? And when you can surface what's in the way, then you kind of know where the work is, right? You sort of go, oh, that's something I need to work on. And if you need to outsource that to personal therapy, great. If you need to get a guru on the internet, fine. If you need to join a 12-step group, okay, sure, try that. Or if you need to go to church, become born again, okay, maybe that'll help. But something's in the way of you getting the thing that you want. And, doing effective, couples therapy is naming the thing that you want in the relationship, but then resourcing that with strategies and tools and resources, again, that help you eliminate the things that are in the way. And so that's my unsatisfying Cliff Note answer.
No, so I will say that for me was satisfying, right? Because I am a person who I've had to do everything on my own, per se, right? Where it's like, the way I learn is by doing. And when I first learned how to build a motor, my uncle handed me a set of tools. He said, take that thing apart and put all the parts in the bucket. And then he just took off. So I sat there as a kid tinkering around and I figured it out. And what you just said is profound for me, because I think part of what holds me back is I think I'm going to do it on my own. Right. And I don't think you get there on your own anymore.
Well, and I think for you in particular, you have this thing that you want, which is to preserve and protect your sense of self and your identity. And that's okay. People ought to do that. And then there's this other thing that you want, which is to live in a long, healthy, mutually edifying relationship with this woman that you love. And that those two things may be in tension with each other, then the desire to stay the same and then the desire to grow closer to this person. And so that deserves some exploration for sure.
That's keen. Yeah. That's keen insight, Zach.
Hey.
Very good.
Thank you so much for giving me.
Did we provide you enough conflict?
Some of your afternoon. I had so many questions, and we talked about the first question like the entire time. So
hopefully that's helpful for the people.
No, I'm sure it'll be amazing.
I want to be of service. You guys are welcome back anytime. Things we speak in.
I'm really interested in your story, and I want to hear about your trip to Australia, and I want to hear about how the things go. So I will definitely be checking back.
Let's keep in touch. It's so nice to meet you, and thank you. It's great to be in relationship with you. Appreciate it.
Okay, like I said, I hope this is the first of many conversations that we have with them. You can see that they have a lot going on, and I'm interested to follow up with some of my actual questions. I want to hear about their trip. And also, I just want to be friends with these guys. They are thoughtful people that I want to have in my life. So for now, don't forget to follow Marriage Therapy Radio on Instagram. You can subscribe to my blog at stuffIwrite.com. Always grateful for any of you who throw your coffee or lunch money at Marriage Therapy Radio to help us continue to bring you quality interviews like these guys. And as always, I'll thank you for the time and attention you're putting into your relationship, making it better today than it was yesterday.